Staying with India, the Khalistan plot is back in the news, this time thanks to the Washington Post. They've published a new article. It covers the alleged assassination plot against Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. We've talked about him before on this show. Pannun is a Khalistani separatist, a man designated as a terrorist by India. But in the US, he is a guest, a critic fleeing persecution. That's how they see him. So back in November, the US began investigating this plot. American prosecutors blamed an Indian intelligence officer. They said he plotted the killing. Now, the US did not name this Indian official, but the Washington Post did. They say it was a RAW officer named Vikram Yadav. RAW stands for Research and Analysis Wing. It's India's spy agency. Now, the article itself is quite long, but three things stand out. Number one, Vikram Yadav was the point man. He apparently forwarded important details to the hitman, details like Pannun's address. Number two, US officials believe this was a sanctioned hit. Sanctioned by whom? Then RAW chief. And this runs contrary to the Indian version. New Delhi has ordered an investigation into these allegations. The final report is not out yet, but the probe does hint at a rogue RAW officer, someone who is acting without orders. Finally, point number three, potential links to the Prime Minister's inner circle. US officials think National Security Advisor Ajit Doval was in the loop. And where did all of this information come from? Unnamed Indian and American officials. That's what the Washington Post says. But India has trashed this report. Listen into what the Foreign Ministry is saying, and I'm quoting, the report in question makes unwarranted and unsubstantiated imputations on a serious matter. There is an ongoing investigation of the high-level committee set up by the Government of India. Speculative and irresponsible comments on it are not helpful. That's what the Foreign Ministry of India has said. Let me translate that for you. India is calling this article fake news. And what about the US government? They apparently knew about the article. Washington even warned New Delhi ahead of its publication, so the White House was ready for it. They did not comment on the ongoing probe, but they did say that the matter was being taken very seriously, both in Washington and in New Delhi.
This is a serious matter, and we're taking that very, very seriously. The government of India has been very clear with us that they are taking this seriously and will investigate, and we expect that accountability from the government based on that. And so, but we're going to continue to raise our concerns. That's not going to stop. We're going to continue to raise our concerns directly with the Indian government.
A couple of things to note here. For starters, India will not appreciate this parallel investigation, certainly not by the US media. It undermines New Delhi's process and credibility. And secondly, the timing is key. US officials began this investigation in November last year. And when does this article come out? In April, during elections in India. Foreign Minister Jaishankar has already criticized Western coverage of the Indian election. This article will add to that perception. And thirdly, the US reaction to all of it. They haven't openly criticized the government of India, but they're not letting this issue go. In other words, Washington is keeping this case alive through media leaks, through investigative reports, and through subtle criticism. I guess it gives them leverage over New Delhi, but it's also a dangerous game. Look at some of the lines in this article. I'm quoting. The foiled assassination was part of an escalating campaign of aggression by RAW against the Indian diaspora in Asia, Europe, and North America. What impression does that give? That RAW is some kind of monster going around hunting dissidents. Based on what? A lot of allegations, but zero convictions. I'll quote another line for you. India is part of an expanding roster of countries employing tactics previously associated with China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and other repressive regimes. So the strategy is quite clear. Club India with the likes of China and Iran as some sort of lawless repressive regime and tarnish India's image as the world's largest democracy. And don't get us wrong, you can conduct your own probes, you can publish your articles. I'm sure the Washington Post is confident about its sources, but why these sweeping statements? Why the judgment before the trial? It betrays the true intentions here. The goal is not to pin the blame, the goal is to smear India.